What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Career Mode. This is episode number 29, and we're starting today's episode off by seeing that Everton have rejected our bid for Brendan Galloway. We put in a bid in the last episode, not a real surprise they didn't accept it, but we then come back with a counter offer of £2 million plus Diego Fabrini, and we'll wait and see what Roberto Martinez says. And we also begin transfer deadline day in today's episode as well. Deadline day starts here, and we start off by seeing we had a transfer offer for Sebastian Prodl, who is wanted by Leicester, and also that Wolves accepted an 800 grand bid plus Angela for Iorfa. Also as well, Corker rejected the contract we offered him in the last episode. We give him what he wants, which is 50 grand a week on a 5-year deal, and we shall wait and see what he says. And also Wolves there, I did just mention it, they accepted a bid for Dominic Iorfa, the right back, who I'm sure could play centre back at 6'4", very decent stats, 72 overall, 21 years old. We put in a contract offer and wait and see what they say. And also Leicester did indeed put in a bid for Sebastian Prodl, our Austrian centre back, of £2.5 million. That is his valuation. He's going down in stats. He's a 75 overall rated player now, 29 years old, and he does go to Leicester for £2.5 million. So totally fine with me. And also Iorfa rejected his first contract, so we go ahead and give him another one as he wanted a better squad status. We give him squad rotation status, and we'll wait and see what he says. And also as well, you can see after that, Everton once again rejected a bid for Brendan Galloway, so we put in a new one for him. And also Stephen Corker signs on deadline day for £1 million plus Belkalem. So Corker is going to come into Vicarage Road. He's our first deadline day signing, and I'm very, very happy with that because Stephen Corker is 77 overall, 24 years old. He's 3 years younger than Belkalem and the same overall, and of course he's English as well. I'm sure he's going to have more potential than Belkalem would. 6'3", I mean, that to me is a great piece of business right there, because we were going to lose Belkalem for free regardless of what happened, as no transfer bids were coming in, and he was almost certainly either going to be getting a pre-contract offer in January or leaving the club at the end of the season. Now we got Corker in for just £1 million extra, plus Belkalem going. I think that's a great piece of business, and I'm very happy with that. Also a new bid for Brendan Galloway, the Everton left-back, £2.5 million plus Fabrini, and we shall wait and see what they say. And also Iorfa accepted his contract as well, which is fantastic. So Dominic Iorfa becomes our second signing of deadline day, £800,000 plus Angela, who we weren't using. Yes, Angela is a rating higher, he's a centre-back, Iorfa's a right-back, but we weren't going to use the guy, and I'm totally fine with him going and Iorfa coming in, as he looks like a pretty handy squad player. And also a new bid for Brendan Galloway, £2.75 million plus Fabrini, and we shall wait and see what Everton say. As you can take a look at Dominic Iorfa's stats, look at this guy, man, seriously, those physicals, and the fact he's 6'4" as well, and just 21 years old, this guy looks like a defensive monster, and I'm very happy he is into the club. And also following that, we can see there was a transfer offer for Obi Olari, and also finally Everton did accept their transfer offer for Brendan Galloway, £2.75 million plus Diego Fabrini, a player we're not using, and I'll be very happy with that deal, as Galloway is already a 73 overall, so he's already grown several ratings. I'll be very happy with that deal, and I'll wait and see what they say, wait and see what he says, sorry. And also as well, you can see there he does accept his contract, which is fantastic. Kaiserslautern came back to us regarding the bid for Obi Olari. We asked for £6 million. No surprise I don't match that. But Brendan Galloway does become our third signing on transfer deadline day. He comes into the club for £2.75 million plus Diego Fabrini. I'm very happy with that signing. He could possibly take over from Danny Rose this season. You never know, seeing as Rose isn't growing and Galloway is already up to a 73. We'll have to wait and see what happens. And also Kaiserslautern did come back to us regarding Obi Olari. We asked for £6 million. They said he goes £3.1 million. But Olari, despite only growing a couple of ratings, I think actually like 3 ratings thinking about it since we started, or maybe 4 actually, he's 20 years old. He may have really low stamina, but I like him as a bench player, and at just 20 years old, he's got room to grow as well, so I would rather not sell the guy. I mean, don't get me wrong, the bids Kaiserslautern are putting in aren't too bad. When you think about how many strikers we've got here, Matej Vidra and Kennedy are higher overall, but yet in the reserves for Olari on the bench. You know, it wouldn't be a bad move to sell Olari, but I would rather keep him here. He's a different option off the bench. He's got real height at 6'5", 91 strength, I think it is as well. He scored a couple of goals for us last season. I'd rather keep him here, so unless they match the offers we're asking for, I will keep him here instead, and that's totally fine with me. I also put in some more bids on deadline day for a few more players. James Ward-Prowse was one of them. We put in a bid of a straight swap with Matej Vidra, and they of course said no. Not a real surprise, but Vidra has been on the transfer list ever since he came back from loan, but not a single bid has come in for him, and we'll have to wait and see what Southampton say after they rejected the initial bid and we put in a new one for him. And we also decided to put in bids for Gianluca Gaudino of Bayern Munich and also Pereira of Manchester United. We just put in straight swap bids for the clubs with Matej Vidra, supposed to be going the other way, but as you can see, the clubs don't want Vydra, and that's not a real surprise. It was just a desperation bid, really, just in case. And as you can see, Southampton, Bayern, and United don't want to let go of those 3 players, and they don't want Matic Vydra. But that did end transfer deadline day. Sadly, we weren't able to complete any more negotiations after that. I'm pretty frustrated that I wasn't able to sell on Vydra, and I'm pretty frustrated I wasn't able to loan out for Levy and also Damari Gray, who was on the loan list too. But to be honest, we spent £37.75 million in this window, received just over £6 million for our players too. And despite that, despite that big loss there in terms of the money, I'm still happy with what we've done in this transfer window because, we've seen quite a few players leave and seen quite a few players come in. And okay, we haven't undergone a massive transition like last season, but we've done most of what we wanted to do in this window. I'm still, disappointed. Like I said, I wasn't able to loan out for Levy. I wasn't able to sell on Matic Vydra, and also I was trying to loan out. Just said his name a minute ago there, the Damari Gray. But other than that, you look at this squad right now, this is the squad report we have. We've now into September, and therefore this squad will remain the same until January. You look at the squad we have right here, it's a really good Watford team. I mean, there is some really good young talent in there. There are some decent experienced players in there too. A lot of players in the late 20s like Capu who are very good already. And, it's not too pricey. It's not too expensive in terms of the wages either. Even though we signed quite a few players on relatively high contracts like Danny Rose and Joel Matip and Charlie Austin, it's not too expensive, and I'm very happy with the business we've done. Okay, sure, maybe I overspent on a couple of players, but I'm looking at this Watford side right now, and I'm thinking it's a fun side, and it looks like a good side as well. It doesn't look like a sort of a novelty side for players who just aren't going to be able to do the job this season. We're in the Europa League this season. We needed some quality brought into the squad. We've done that with players like Matip and Austin and Boufal and Shelby as well, and we've got some squad depth coming into this club as well. Players like Iorfa and Galloway that'll improve the squad depth, obviously, and of course they're young enough to grow for the future as well. I'm happy with the business we've done, and it's an expensive transfer window. We're out of money now, but I'm happy with what we've done, and I think we've had a very successful transfer window. And sure, maybe it could have been a little bit better, but I'd definitely rate it a probable 8 or a 9 out of 10 in terms of doing what we needed to do, and I'm pretty happy with that. So here's a look at the successful negotiations page. You can see the players that did join and did leave, and yes, it was an expensive window, but I think when you look at the players that left there, Den and Lewis went out on loan, so did Hoban, so they're still our players. Only Nathan Ake, I'm probably thinking maybe I could have possibly kept him. The rest of the players, I'm not really that fussed about seeing them go. Still, we do see one player leave after transfer deadline day as well. Kennedy is going back to Chelsea. I terminated his loan deal here just because we've got so many strikers here right now, and I want to give Felivi some game time because I couldn't loan him out, and he's still going to be behind Kennedy in terms of the overall. So Kennedy goes back to Chelsea. We did have to pay £100,000 to terminate his loan contract, but it was on 20 grand a week here anyway, and of course he'll be here till January, so you do the maths. It only takes 5 weeks to accumulate 100 grand, and therefore we are going to be saving a little bit of money despite having to pay the initial £100,000 termination fee. Still following out a scouting update, we signed one player to our academy and also a look at the training as well. Danny Rose and Marco Ryan Tala are still getting the training right now. I'm just so determined to see Danny Rose finally grow a rating, because he should have done really in terms of the growth. He had a great second half of the season when he came in from Spurs in January. He hasn't grown a single rating. I've been training him for so long and he still hasn't grown a rating. I'm determined to get him up to a 78, and once I get that, I'll let him be, and I'll leave him be. Still following out a couple of international friendlies with Canada. We lost the first one against South Africa, and then in the North American battle, we lost to America as well. So pretty disappointed. Still yet to notch up a win with Canada in the international friendlies we've played. Our best so far is a draw against England, but we're not really that fussed about it. We won't have any World Cup qualifiers until next season, so that's totally fine with me. And there you go. And following that, we took on Arsenal for the first and only game of today's episode here, away at the Emirates Stadium. Had a fantastic start to the season so far with Watford. We're into the next round of Capital One Cup, and as you can see, we are top of the table, just 4 games in with 10 points. Of course, we have beaten Manchester City already this season as well. We did that in the last game at Vicarage Road. So coming to this game here against Arsenal, we'd have our first European game in midweek, but I'd still play the usual first 11. And the first chance of the game would fall in the 18th minute to us as well, as Troy Deeney finds Nathan Redmond here. Boufal gets onto the ball instead though, and plays it out wide towards Nathan Redmond down the left-hand side. Good chance he finds Boufal, chips it inside towards Troy Deeney, but sadly our skipper's volley goes wide at the post and behind for a goal kick, and that was the score at half-time, 0-0. And how many times have I said it this season, man? Seriously, the AI just care about very little other than possession. As you can see, it was still 0-0. They haven't reached a single shot in the entire game. Their first attempt fell 20 minutes after the restart. That tame header was simply saved by Butland, but this wasn't a tame header by Mesut Ozil, but it was again saved by Jack Butland. Sadly, there was no replay for this. I had to get one from the match highlights section. Look at this for a stop by Jack Butland. Absolutely superb. Maybe not as good as Gomez's save last season, but that is a superb stop with a left hand by Jack Butland there to deny Mesut Ozil and keep it goalless. So great save by a young goalkeeper, and it was still 0-0. And from the follow-up corner, it's crossed into the centre. Buffal ends up heading the header off the line. It falls to Sanchez, who finds Santi Cazorla, and his strike goes over the bar behind for a goal kick. And it was how the game would finish as well. Sadly, today's only game ends as a very disappointing goalless draw. The Arsenal players seem to be celebrating as well. I mean, we are top of the table right now, but either way, I would have thought they'd be very disappointed to only have a goalless draw against Watford here at home. But either way, a 0-0 draw is the final score. I'm okay with that. We may not get another win notched up on the board, but a draw isn't bad at all. 2 draws and 3 wins from opening few games, and I'm totally fine with that. And of course, 2 big sides already out of the way too. But that does end the episode, guys. So thank you very much for watching the video. Really hope you have enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed today's episode of Career Mode, then please do leave a like, and I'll see you for the next episode of Career Mode, hopefully very soon.